Few people truly know who Sam Heughan is when the cameras are off, but his mother just gave the world a glimpse we'll never forget. It happened quietly, during a small interview that almost went unnoticed. No flashing lights, no red carpets. Just a mother sitting down, speaking about her son with that unmistakable mix of pride and tenderness only a parent can have. But within minutes, her words began to spread across social media, stirring the hearts of millions of fans who thought they already knew Sam Heughan. "He's always been that way," she said softly, smiling. "Kind, stubborn, and far more sensitive than people realize." That one sentence stopped everyone in their tracks. Sensitive. It wasn't the first word people would use to describe Sam, the man who played Jamie Fraser with such fierce masculinity and strength. But hearing it from his mother made it feel real, intimate, and human. She went on to share a story from his childhood, one that painted a picture of who Sam was long before fame found him. "They didn't have much," she said. "Life in rural Scotland wasn't easy. Money was tight, winters were cold, and opportunities felt far away. But even as a child, Sam refused to let hardship define him. There was one winter when we barely had heating," she recalled. "Sam used to joke that he'd keep the house warm just by running around. And he did, always laughing, always trying to lift the mood. He'd make up little plays, pretending to be knights or adventurers, and he'd say, 'One day, Mum, I'll be on a stage for real.' It wasn't said with arrogance. It was a dream, pure and simple, born out of hope." That moment hit fans differently. Suddenly, the confident, charismatic actor they knew from Outlander wasn't just a star. He was a little boy chasing warmth, turning struggle into stories. What touched people most was how his mother described his sense of responsibility, even at a young age. "He always wanted to protect me," she said. "Even when he was too small to do much about it. He'd say, 'Don't worry, Mum, I'll take care of everything when I grow up.' And in a way, he did." When Outlander made him an international name, Sam didn't forget where he came from. His mother shared how he still calls her before big events, just to hear her voice, she said. How he sends handwritten notes, how he never misses her birthday, no matter how busy he is. "He worries about me more than I worry about him," she laughed. "He'll say, 'Mum, are you eating well?' And I'll remind him that I've survived longer than he's been alive." There was laughter in her voice, but also something deeper, a quiet pride. A mother's gratitude that fame hadn't changed her son's heart. As clips of the interview began circulating, fans were moved to tears. Comments flooded YouTube and Twitter. "He's not just talented, he's good. No wonder he plays Jamie so beautifully. That warmth comes from somewhere real. You can tell he was raised with love." The interview didn't expose scandal or secrets. It revealed something far more powerful: the truth behind the fame, humility, empathy, and deep love for family. At one point, Sam's mom paused, choosing her next words carefully. "You know, people see him as strong," she said. "But what they don't see is how much he feels. He takes on other people's pain. He always has. Even as a boy, he couldn't stand seeing anyone hurt." That, perhaps, is the truest glimpse into Sam's soul. The quiet strength that doesn't need to be loud. The compassion that gives his performances depth. The reason fans feel connected to him, even from miles away. And then, her voice softened as she added one final line that no one expected. "He doesn't talk about it, but I think fame scares him a little," she confessed. "He worries that it might take away who he really is. That's why he holds on so tightly to home." It was a confession that turned the internet silent for a moment, a reminder that behind every star's smile, there's someone who remembers them as a child, someone who knows the heart behind the headlines. And for Sam Heughan, that heart began long before Hollywood, in a small Scottish home, with a mother who never stopped believing in him. But what she said next, a revelation about what truly drives Sam even now, would leave fans more emotional than ever. When the interview turned quiet, the host asked one final question, the kind that usually earns a polite, practiced answer. What do you think people don't know about Sam? His mother smiled, that knowing kind of smile only a parent can have. Then she said softly, people see the actor, the red carpets, the awards. But what they don't see is how lonely it can be to live that life. Her voice trembled just slightly. He doesn't say it often, but I can tell. When he calls me late at night, I can hear it, that silence between his words. He misses home. He misses being just Sam. It was a confession that hit everyone who heard it. Because it's easy to look at someone as famous and beloved as Sam Heughan and assume his life is perfect, that every day is filled with glamour, laughter, and success. But hearing his mother speak, you could feel the truth. Behind the confidence and the charm, there's a man who carries the quiet weight of expectation. She talked about how, even now, when Sam visits home in Scotland, he insists on simple things: chopping wood, cooking dinner, walking through the fields where he played as a boy. He always says, "Mum, this is what keeps me real." Her words painted a picture of a man grounded not by fame, but by gratitude. A man who's learned that the truest kind of success isn't measured in applause, but in peace. He's never forgotten where he came from, she said. He still sends money to support community projects back home, though he doesn't like people to know. He just says, it's for the kids who need a chance, like I once did. That was the hidden truth. The side of Sam that fame doesn't capture. The quiet giver. The man who chooses to build rather than boast. She then told a story that melted every heart listening. A few years ago, after a long shoot, he came home exhausted. He sat at the kitchen table and just stared out the window. I asked if something was wrong. He said, "Sometimes I wonder if people love me, or for the man I play on screen." There was a long pause before she continued. I told him, "The ones who truly love you know the difference." And he smiled, that small, tired smile. Then he said, "That's why I keep coming home." Those words, "That's why I keep coming home," became the emotional core of the interview. It wasn't about celebrity. It was about humanity. About a son who, no matter how far he travels, never loses the compass that leads him back to who he really is. By the time the interview ended, the internet had turned into a wave of emotion. Fans around the world began sharing messages not about his fame, but about his character. "This is why we love Sam," one tweet read. "He's not just an actor. He's a good man." His mother didn't reveal secrets for attention. She revealed truth for understanding. She reminded everyone that behind the hero is a son, a dreamer, a person who sometimes feels lost, and that's what makes him real. As the clip spread, many noticed how her tone carried pride but also protection. You could sense she was careful. She wasn't exposing Sam's vulnerabilities to the world, but rather honoring them. She wanted people to see the heart behind the fame, not the headlines. And perhaps that's the hidden truth she wanted to share most, that her son's success has never been about image or fortune. It's about resilience, about choosing kindness in a world that tests it every day. Toward the end, the interviewer asked what she's most proud of. She didn't mention his awards or achievements. She simply said, "He's still the same boy who used to make me laugh when things were hard. That's all I ever wanted, for him to stay that way." Then she added one last thought, the kind of line that stays with you long after the camera stops rolling. "People say he's strong, but I think his real strength is that he's gentle." In a time when fame often changes people, Sam Heughan's story, as told by his mother, reminds us that it doesn't have to. That love, humility, and gratitude can outshine even the brightest spotlight. Because behind the fame, the glamour, and the applause, there's a son who still calls home. And maybe that's the most beautiful truth of all.